Finally, the best front-end system design series on the internet is here. And this is a very interesting question that was once asked to me in a front-end interview. So the interviewer asked me to design a scalable toast component, and this is what I made. So this toast component has 4 different variants: success, info, warning, and error message. And to import this component inside of our code, we have this use notification hook, which just takes a param for our position. So let's say if I say top left, and now it's gonna start appearing on top left, and you can see this stacking behavior. Whenever multiple notifications are triggered, they are stacked one below each other, and each notification has a particular duration which we can provide it over here. So you can see this hook provides us with 2 things: the actual notification component that has to be rendered and the trigger notification function, which will take things like type, message, duration. And as I showed you, type is of 4 types. We can provide a custom message, we can provide the duration, we can also provide the animation, how that is going to be animated. So animation is going to be of 3 types. Like if I select pop, now others are slide, but this one is pop. If I click on it, you can see this is a different type of animation. So this is an amazing front-end system design problem, and first we will discuss the requirements, and then the high-level design, the low-level design, and then the optimization, just like you should answer in your front-end system design interviews. So the first step is to do the requirement gathering, which is of 2 types. One is functional requirement and the other is non-functional requirement. So the functional requirements consists of basically all of the major features of what we're trying to design, right? Like for example, all of these. So first of all, our notification is going to have a lot of types, right? Our toast is going to have a bunch of different types like success, error, info, warning. Then we should also be able to customize our toast, which will include the text, duration as I showed you, animation, and the position. Then when it comes to animation, animation can be of 3 types, like for example fade out or fade in, and pop out, and slide, which I already showed you. The slide animation was by default. There's going to be a lot of positions where our toast can be customized and displayed on, like top left or top right, or bottom left or bottom right. Then each notification should have a close button to allow users to dismiss it manually. Obviously it's gonna have a duration, like let's say 3 seconds, after which it will be gone, but we should have a manual control over it as well. We're gonna implement this stacking behavior. Notification should stack up or down. Like for example, if the notification is on the top, it should stack down. If it's on the bottom, it should stack up, right? New notification should display on top or bottom of it according to the position. Then the notification queue. So if the multiple notifications are triggered simultaneously, they should be queued and displayed one after the other. All right. Now what about non-functional requirement? Now these are those requirements which don't directly affect our app, but are good to have. And like for example, performance. So the notification should be lightweight and efficient to ensure smooth performance even when multiple notifications are displayed simultaneously, right? And the accessibility, that means it should be accessible to a large variety of users and a large devices as well. Like for example, if we are displaying a toast and we press the tab key, it should go to that cross button on the toast, right? So that we can press enter on the keyboard and dismiss it manually. So we don't have to use the mouse over there. And obviously user experience should be good, yeah. Compatibility, it should be compatible on various different types of modern web browsers. Scalability is more of on code side, like we should write such a good code that we can scale it tomorrow. Like if we had to add more new features on that toast component, we should be able to scale it gracefully. Alright, now let's move on to the HLD of toast component. Now what the hell is HLD? So HLD basically means we're going to create a high level design of this component before actually developing it via code. And sometimes in a lot of companies, this round is the most important interview round and decides whether you'll be employed in that company or not. So let's see. Our toast component will obviously be in a rectangular shape. And if we see our requirements, it's going to have multiple different types, right? We should be able to customize the text, and it will also have a close button to manually dismiss it. Okay, so we can add a icon over here. Let's say for info icon, let's say info, yep, this is the icon. We can add this icon over here, and we can replace it with respect to the type we have selected, right? Like for success, we can display tick mark or whatever. Then over here, we can have some text, like let's say new notification or new message from whatever, right? So this text is going to be customizable. Then we're gonna have a button to manually dismiss it. So let's have a icon of close. Yep, this looks good. And when we press on it, this notification will be dismissed. So let me just add some further details over here so that you guys can understand it later on. Yep, something like this. And this is exactly how you have to display the HLD in your front-end interviews as well. In some cases, you might also have to draw a flow diagram. Like for example, if you're developing a large feature, you have to show how the data will flow from one part of the app to the other. Like when you click on over here, the data will go to the server and it will return this information, something like that. But in this case, we didn't require that type of HLD, but we will have to show them how the 4 types will look like, right? So, okay, if we want a success toast, it's gonna look something like this, like greenish color and with a tick mark. If we want an information toast, it can look something like this, a blue toast. For warnings, we generally use yellow color with this warning symbol, and for error, we would use red color, right? Now, designing an HLD will give you a complete knowledge on what are all the features that are required to be built and how the design will look like and how the flow of the data will look like and what this button will do, what's the role of this icon, and a bunch of different things, right? All right, now let's discuss the low-level design of our app, or in the interviewer's terms, it's sometimes called machine coding interview round. And this is the phase where we are actually going to go and build out our component or our app, whatever we're trying to build. So I'm going to use React to build it. So I'm going to say npm create wheat at latest. And this is going to initialize a brand new React.js app inside of this toast component folder over here. Okay, so it's asking us the name of the project. I'm going to press dot so that it can create an app over there. I'm going to select React and JavaScript, and yeah, great, it has initialized a new React.js app over here. I'm gonna delete the things that we don't need, like this assets folder, everything inside of index.css, everything inside of app.css, and inside of app.jsx. I'm gonna remove all of these things and have a one div over here which will say subscribe to Roadside Coder, which you should if you haven't yet. So cool, let's run our app. Before that, we also have to do npm install so that it can install all of these dependencies inside of this package.json file. And also, if you're interested to see more such videos like this, to practice more such interview questions along with system design questions, I have a complete front-end interview preparation course. So make sure you click the link in the description down below and check out this course. This is the only thing that you will ever need to prepare for your front-end interviews. And not only this, I've covered every single topic of React.js, like React Router DOM, Redux, all of the hooks, class-based component, function-based component React, even the performance optimization, which is asked from senior developers a lot, tons of machine coding questions as well, and obviously in-depth interview preparation course on JavaScript as well. So all of this you get in one single course. So click the link in the description down below, because right now we're having the biggest sale of the year for a very limited time. So don't forget to check it out. Or you can also scan this QR code on your screen to go directly to the course page. Alright, great. Let's say npm run dev and run our app. Okay, let's click on over here. Cool, it's working fine. So when designing a component such as a toast component or like a carousel component, the one that I've discussed in my front-end interview preparation course, what we should generally do is we should keep all of the logic at one place so that we can import that. Like for example, in our case, I'm going to create a custom hook so that we can provide it the position, and it's going to give me the toast component and the function to manipulate that toast component. So okay, I'm going to say I'll create a custom hook for all the logic, which is going to be called use notification, or you can also call it use toast if you like, and it's going to take a position as an input or the initial value. All right, so I'm going to create a new folder over here, first of all for our components and for our hooks, or our hook you can say. Inside the components, I'm going to create a new file for notification.jsx and notification.css. Inside of our hooks, I'll create a file called use notification.jsx. Great. So first, let's go on and build the very basic UI of our notification. So I'll say RAFCE. It's going to give me this boilerplate code. So this notification component, since we want it to be very customizable according to us, it's going to first of all take the type, right? That's what we discussed in the requirement gathering section. So let's say the type by default is info. It's gonna take a custom message and a onClose function, which will be triggered when that X icon is clicked on the toast, right? Now inside this div, first of all, I'm gonna render the icon, then our message, and then the close button. Now for icons, I'm gonna install a library called React Icons. So I'll just stop it and I'll say npm install, and actually I'm gonna use React Icons /AI. So let me show you what icons these are. So I'll say React Icons /AI, and these are ant design icons. So these are all the icons that we're going to be using, right? So let's go back, and I guess we would need to install the whole React Icons package. We can't install one single package from these. So let's just npm install React-icons. Okay, cool, this is working. Let's just restart our app again. All right, so right here I'll create an object. I'll say const icons, and basically inside of this object we're gonna map different type to different icons. Like for example, for success, I'll have a tick mark icon. So if I go back to the browser, let's see if I search tick. Okay, yeah, this looks good. AI outline check. Okay, we're gonna just copy this up, go back, and for success I'll just paste it over here like a component. And actually I want a circle around it as well. So I think there's some icon called AI outline circle. So let's just try to import it. So import from React Icons /AI. So I'll say check, and yeah, this circle one, this is what I want. And for other types, I'm gonna have different types of icons. You can go to React Icons documentation and explore according to you, like whatever icon that you want. And now I'm gonna take this icons, and right over here I'm gonna say icons and the type that is being supplied to this notification component, and I'm gonna render it over here. Okay, let's see this in action. Let's see what it looks like. I'm gonna import the notification, and this is just for testing out. Obviously we're not going to be using it just like this. We're going to be using it through the use notification hook. So the type is going to be, let's say, success. If I go back, yep, we can see the icon. If I change it to error, we can see the error icon. Great. What if we supply it some message? So if I say success message equals new notification, we are not rendering the message right now, yeah. So I'll take the message and render it right over here, and now we can see it. Same for the close button as well. I'm gonna import an icon called AI outline close, and the color will be white because we're gonna have some background for it, right? So I'll just have a class name over here, and I'll keep it inside of the backticks. I'll say notification. I'm keeping it inside of the backticks. It's because I'm gonna provide it the type as well, the type class name, and according to the type I'm gonna write these styles for it. So let me show you. Inside of notification.css, first of all, let's just import it. So import ./notification.css. Inside of this I'm gonna have the notification styling, and don't worry, these are not very hard. Like, these are very simple styles, like padding, some margin, color to be white, the text color to be white, display is going to be flex, so that everything is aligned in one single line, align items to be centered, to be, vertically centered, border radius to be 5 pixels, and some box shadow behind it, right? So if I go back and see, you can see this is the toast component. Now for different types of notification, we can see we have given the type as a class over here, right? So what we can simply do, for success the background color can be green, for info it can be blue, and you can define it just according to you, right? Whatever that you've created inside of the HLD. So alright, let's see. This looks much better. And you know what, let's just give the font family to sans serif. Yeah, great. And for this close button over here, or close icon over here, I'm gonna say on click to be on close. This is the function that we're taking from there, and let's just give it the default value of an empty function. Let's just give this a class name of close btn, and sort of our styles, and I'm gonna give it margin left of 5 pixels, cursor to be pointer, display to be flex, and align items to be center so that it displays at the very center. And we've given this cursor pointer so that you can see we have this cursor right over here. And also we can see our message is very close to this icon. So what we can do, we can just go on over here let's have icon styles of margin right of 10 pixels, and I can just say style, and I can just give this icon styles to this. Let's just copy and paste it on all of these. Okay, let's see now. Yeah, that looks much better. All right, so now let's go on and work on the logic, that is the use notification hook. So basically a custom hook is just like a normal function in React, except it has the powers to access all of the features of React, right? So it starts with this use keyword, and we can also write JSX inside of it. So I'll say export default use notification, just like this. And if you remember, we were supposed to take the position as an input, right? So position as a param, and by default let's just give it bottom right as a default position, or let's say top right. Inside this custom hook, I'm gonna have a use state. So how do we create state? We're gonna use state, and it gives us two things. One is the variable, another is the function used for changing that variable. So I'll create a notification variable which is going to keep the tab of the current notification. So use state is null by default, that is we don't have any notifications right now. Then I'm gonna have a notification component over here, which will check if the notification is there. If it contains the properties of a particular notification, then what we will do, we will return a div, and inside of it I'm gonna return a notification component that we made over here, right? So let's just import it first of all, and we are also supposed to give it the props, right? It requires types, duration, and bunch of different props. So before working on this, I'll create a function over here, const trigger notification, and it will take a bunch of props related to the notification. As we have already seen in the start of the video, I'm going to take all of the props related to the notifications. So notification props, and what I'll do, I'll take these props and say set notification and provide it with these props. Now we can say notification and send it to our component right over here. Now this way we're just using our custom hook to take the information and just supply it directly to the component, so that user don't have to react or interact to the particular component. But this is not just it, we have to take care of the duration of the toast as well, right? Like let's say if it's 3 seconds long, so I'll have to say set timeout and provide it with the notification props dot duration. It's gonna come from this notification props, right? And when this duration is done, I'm gonna say set notification to null. I'm gonna make it null, right? So let's see how are we going to use it. So if I take this and inside of our app.jsx, instead of this, I'll have a button which will say trigger success, and let's just import our hook as well, use notification hook. It will take the position like top right, and it's gonna give us something. Obviously we're not returning anything from it, so let's go back. If there's a notification, then it's going to show this, else what are we going to show? Null. I'm going to say return this notification component along with this trigger notification function. Okay, let's go back. So it's going to give us notification component and the trigger notification. Let's take this and render it right below this, and whenever we click on this, so on click, I'm going to call this trigger notification function, and inside of this, what does it take? It's gonna take the type. I'm gonna say error, or let's say success. Message is going to be, let's say file sent successfully, and I'm gonna give the duration, which is going to be 3 seconds, right? And I think this should do it. Let's go back and test it out. If I click on trigger success, yep, we can see it, 1 2 3, it's gone, right? So our basic functionality is working absolutely fine. Let's create another button over here for trigger error, and it's going to be file sent failed. I'll say error over here, and let's try to trigger the error. Okay, if I click on trigger success again, what just happened? We clicked on success later on, but it didn't appear for 3 seconds. It was gone before that. So we have to handle this use case. So if I go to our use notification over here, I'm gonna take a variable let timer, and I'm gonna assign our set timeout to this timer, so we can have the timer ID. and I'm gonna say clear timeout every single time we trigger this function again. So I'll give timer over here. Let's see if it's working now. If I click on error again, okay, it's still not working. Something's wrong. So okay, let's just take care of this in our optimization part of this toast, right? Let's first implement things like position. So I'm going to take this position over here and we're wrapping it around a div, right? So I'll say class name and I'll have a backtick inside of curly braces and I'll say position. Okay, now it's going to have the position as the class name. So let's go inside of the notification.css. And here I'll give different styles for the different positions. Like for top right, I'm going to say position fixed, top to be 20 pixels, right to be 20 pixels. Same for top left, top to be 20 pixels, left to be 20 pixels. Same for bottom right and bottom left as well, right? Pretty straightforward styles. So let's go back and see if I trigger success. Okay, it was top right, right? So if I go back and let's say top left, or let's say bottom left, let's try to trigger this. Okay, error, amazing. These both are working absolutely fine, but again you can see it's going away because of that bug that we have inside of it. So now comes our step 4, that is the optimization or the performance optimization, whatever the performance flaws that are inside of it. So let me just remove all of these. So inside of our use notification hook, the reason why that's going again and again, it's because the value of timer is not being persistent over here, right? So we have two options over here. Either we can use useRef to store this value, or we can use callback to memoize this function. So let's use callback, and I'm going to memoize this function so that we don't have to create it again and again on every single render, and by default the dependency array is going to be empty. That is, this function is going to be created only once. And again, if you want to understand these features in depth, like use callback and useRef and all of these hooks, I've discussed them in depth in my front-end interview preparation course, so you can go and check it out. So let's see it. If I trigger it, and 1, 2, if I trigger it again, yeah, you can see now it's taking its full time and then going away. Amazing. So now what are the things left? Let's go back to our HLD or the requirements. So we have to implement our animation, and we have to implement the stacking behavior, the notification queue. We have to implement the accessibility inside of our app, and also I'm going to be implementing TypeScript inside of this app, so that whenever we go inside of this app.jsx, and if we remove this and press Control space, we can see what are all the type of things that we have to provide it, right? Right now you can't see it over here, but that will provide us specific recommendation on what we need to put inside of it. So these are all more advanced stuff, and this is what I've discussed in my front-end interview preparation course. This right over here is also good enough to be shown in the interviews, but if you want to truly impress your interviewer, you have to implement those stacking functionality and the animation and other advanced features, right? So you can click the link in description down below and access the complete front-end interview preparation course, and you can find these notes and stuff as well over there.